The overall top state for business in 2018 is Texas. But what about some of the other winners this year? Our Scott Cohn is crunching the categories. He's been working on this for months, and he joins us now with more. Scott.
Hi, Morgan. Yeah, remember, we rate the states not just overall, but in 10 categories of competitiveness, and there is a top state in each of those categories. So here is this year's honor roll, or should we call it the honor wall. For workforce, our most important category is Massachusetts. Not only does Massachusetts have one of the most educated workforces, but no state has a better record on worker training programs. For infrastructure, there's almost no contest. Texas is number one. It ships the most commodities by dollar value, and Texas's bridges are the best in the nation. In cost of doing business, it's Arkansas. Wages and utility costs are low, and you can get industrial space for a song. The best economy is Texas, with a wealth of industries and these days lots of oil wealth as well. For quality of life, it's Vermont edging out Hawaii this year. Lots of happy, healthy people in the Green Mountain State. In technology and innovation, it's California. No state's residents earn more patents this year, and none does better at attracting health and science research money. The top grade in education goes to Massachusetts, with the best K-8 test scores in the nation and the best opportunities for continuing education. In business friendliness, the legal and regulatory climate, it's New Hampshire, where apparently they really mean live free or die. For access to capital, it's California, and we look not just at venture capital, but also bank lending to small businesses. And in the lowest cost of business, it's Mississippi. Think a two-bedroom apartment in Gulfport for $778 a month. The same kind of apartment in San Francisco would go for about $4,000. So how did your state do in the categories and overall? You can see our whole study and read all about the issues that we looked at topstates.cnbc.com. Guys?
Scott, you did a nice job with the Texas governor and asked some pointed questions about specifically education in that state. I wonder what you made of some of his answers. They always kind of look at things differently in terms of how they measure it, and they say that this state, with so many people that come into the state really on a daily basis, that some of the traditional measures of education don't necessarily apply. One of the other interesting things was we talked about the trade situation and what that might mean to Texas next year if we are in a trade war and this state is so heavily reliant on exports and imports. What will that mean? And it kind of remains to be seen. But one thing that he told me off camera that we didn't get a chance to talk about is how Texas is benefiting from tax reform, where a lot of people, he says, are flooding into this state from high tax states because of the new advantages that the new tax law brings.
Scott, how different would this list look if it were top states for workers? As you mentioned, Texas is number 37 in education, 31 in quality of life, doesn't get great marks for inclusiveness, notwithstanding all of the great marks that you mentioned that Texas gets that put them at the top of the list. How different would the list look if there were more weighting toward some of those things in quality of life?
Well, if we were looking at top states for workers, we'd weight things a whole lot differently. We might make quality of life a much more heavily weighted part of the study. We might look at other things like unions and right to work and things like that, which under our study, a state gets credit for having low union presence and being a right to work state. If we were looking at top states for workers, we might look at that the other way around. So it's really kind of apples and oranges. It's, some of them offset each other. Where a state is good for business, it might be not so good for workers. But at the same time, there's the argument to be made that a good state for business is good for all and that the workers ultimately benefit.
Always an influential list, Scott. It's gotten more and more influential over the years. Thanks in no small part to you. Our Scott Cohn in Texas today, our top state for business this year.
Eat some barbecue.
Okay.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.